Maxwell spotted behind bars, pacing, maybe blowing off a little bit of steam. You see,
What if I told you that the one person who could completely destroy Meghan Markle's reputation has been sitting in a prison cell, quietly collecting information, and has finally decided to speak? You'd probably think I was exaggerating, but here's the thing. Ghislaine Maxwell isn't just any prisoner. She was Jeffrey Epstein's right hand, the woman who knew everyone's secrets, and now she's apparently ready to share what she knows about a certain former duchess. The story that's unfolding right now is so explosive that major news outlets are scrambling to verify details, Hollywood executives are distancing themselves, and Meghan herself has gone completely silent. And trust me, when Meghan Markle stops talking, you know something serious is happening.
Maxwell's response to that congressional subpoena seeking her testimony. Her attorneys have just sent a letter to the House Oversight Chair, James Comer, saying initially they were just going to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights, but they say now that they are willing to cooperate if, and this is a huge if, some big demands are met.
So let me walk you through exactly what's been revealed, because this isn't just another celebrity scandal. This could be the moment that changes everything we thought we knew about Meghan's past. It started with whispers from inside Maxwell's prison. Now, you might be wondering, how do we even know what someone says in federal prison? Well, here's what most people don't realize. High-profile inmates like Maxwell still have legal teams, and those teams talk to associates on the outside. According to multiple sources familiar with these conversations, Maxwell has been discussing what she calls documentation of Meghan's life before she became famous. We're not talking about her acting resume or publicity photos. This is something much more personal, much more damaging. The document allegedly contains details about Meghan's involvement in what's being described as, quote, adult entertainment scenarios for wealthy individuals. Think about that for a moment. We're talking about activities that would make her carefully crafted image as a humanitarian duchess completely impossible to maintain. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like typical tabloid gossip. But here's what makes this different. The source isn't some anonymous Twitter account or bitter royal insider. It's Ghislaine Maxwell, someone who literally lived inside Jeffrey Epstein's world for decades. She knew who attended those parties, who participated in those activities, and who tried to keep it all secret. When someone with that level of insider knowledge starts naming names, even from a prison cell, people pay attention. And apparently, Meghan's name is now part of that conversation. But it gets worse for Meghan. And here's why this story has legs. Remember Virginia Giuffre's legal case? Most people focus on Prince Andrew's involvement, but there's a detail that got buried in the media coverage.
And this is why this stuff has to be passed line by line by line. It is riven with clues about the Epstein case.
Completely.
Virginia's attorney once stated publicly that Meghan knew Virginia personally. Not professionally, not casually, personally. Think about what that means. Meghan wasn't some random actress who happened to be at a few high society events. According to this attorney, she had direct personal knowledge of someone who was at the center of the Epstein scandal. That places Meghan right inside the circle of people who knew what was happening. This is why, at one point, there was serious discussion about deposing Meghan as a witness. A federal attorney believed she had information that could help prosecute Prince Andrew and expose the broader royal connections to Epstein's operations.
Today, it is my biggest shame that I carry around that I will never get rid of. And I'm really, really sad that I brought other girls my age and even younger into a world.
Imagine that courtroom scene for a second. Meghan Markle, under oath, being asked direct questions about what she witnessed, what she participated in, and what she chose to hide. Her PR team has worked overtime to make sure that deposition never happened, but the legal groundwork was already there. And here's the crucial detail that everyone missed. The attorney didn't say Meghan might have information. He said she possessed knowledge. That's lawyer speak for, we have evidence that she knows something specific and important. So when Maxwell now claims to have documentation of Meghan's pre-royal activities, it doesn't sound far-fetched anymore. It sounds like confirmation of what legal experts suspected all along. Now let's talk about timing, because this couldn't have happened at a worse moment for Meghan. Right around the time Maxwell's claims started circulating, something interesting happened in the courts. A judge denied the request to unseal Jeffrey Epstein's grand jury transcripts. The official reason was to protect victims' privacy, which sounds reasonable enough. But here's what caught legal observers' attention. If there's truly nothing damaging in those transcripts, why the urgent need to keep them sealed? It's the classic move of someone with something to hide. Maxwell hints at having evidence, Meghan's name starts appearing in conversations, and suddenly the official documents that might confirm or deny these connections get locked away indefinitely. The timing is so perfect, it almost seems coordinated. But coordinated by whom? And to protect what exactly?
The sexual crimes, it was deeply frustrating to sit there and sort of see names of famous wealthy people. Yes, they were on planes, they knew Jeffrey Epstein, but you kept wondering, well, what else did they know?
Meanwhile, Meghan's response to all of this has been nothing. Complete silence. This is the same woman who has never met a microphone she didn't like, who turned every criticism into a media opportunity, who built her entire post-royal brand on speaking her truth. But when faced with the most serious allegations of her public life, she's gone completely quiet. Her usual playbook would be immediate denial, followed by a carefully orchestrated media campaign painting herself as the victim. We'd see leaked stories about her emotional state, supportive statements from celebrity friends, maybe even another Oprah interview. Instead, we get silence. And in the world of public relations, silence often speaks louder than words. Here's what makes this particularly damaging for Meghan's credibility. She's already been caught lying under oath once. Remember the Finding Freedom debacle? She swore in court that she had nothing to do with that biography, only for court documents to later reveal that she and Harry were actively feeding information to the authors. If she's willing to lie about something as relatively minor as cooperating with a book, what else might she be willing to conceal? And if she's ever forced to testify about her connection to Epstein's world, does anyone really believe she'll suddenly become completely honest? The pattern is already established.
Talking to the DOJ, it's actually kind of annoying. She spoke with the DOJ.
When the truth becomes inconvenient, Meghan finds a way around it. But let's talk about the real damage this is causing, because it goes far beyond just bad headlines. Meghan has been desperately trying to reinvent herself as a lifestyle guru. Think Gwyneth Paltrow, but with more celebrity drama and fewer actual products. She's launched this whole brand around wellness, empowerment, and authentic living. She's selling jam, candles, and the idea that she somehow evolved beyond her royal drama into this Zen entrepreneur. How exactly do you maintain that image when prison whispers are connecting your name to Jeffrey Epstein's world? How do you sell authentic living when serious questions are being raised about what you were really doing during your pre-royal years? You can't. The whole brand becomes laughable. Every Instagram post about mindfulness and organic ingredients gets overshadowed by headlines about Maxwell's allegations. Every attempt to present herself as this evolved, spiritual businesswoman gets derailed by speculation about her past activities. The business impact is already being felt. Hollywood executives who once saw Meghan as box office gold are now treating her like she's radioactive. Nobody wants their project associated with someone whose name keeps appearing in conversations about Epstein. Netflix, which was supposed to be her creative lifeline, has been conspicuously quiet. No public statements of support, no defense of their business partner, no promises to stand behind her upcoming projects. In Hollywood terms, that silence is deafening. It means they're already looking for ways to distance themselves without creating more controversy. Even her charity work, which used to be her fallback for positive press, isn't generating the same enthusiasm. Organizations are politely declining photo opportunities. Donors are asking uncomfortable questions, and the media coverage focuses more on the scandal than any good work she might be doing. The cruel reality is that in today's world, perception often matters more than facts. And right now, the perception is that Meghan Markle might have been involved in Jeffrey Epstein's world in ways that completely contradict everything she said about herself. But here's where the story gets even more interesting and potentially more damaging. Sources close to Maxwell's legal team suggest that what's been revealed so far is just the beginning. They're talking about a strategic release of information, documents, recordings, maybe even photographs that could implicate multiple high-profile figures who thought their secrets were buried forever. Think about what Maxwell had access to. She wasn't just Epstein's girlfriend. She was his business partner, his organizer, his record keeper. She knew who attended which events, who participated in which activities, and who tried to cover their tracks afterward. If she really has been documenting everything, waiting for the right moment to use it, then what we've seen so far might be just a preview. The full revelation could include flight logs, hotel records, personal communications, the kind of evidence that doesn't just damage reputations, but potentially leads to criminal investigations. For Meghan, this possibility has to be terrifying. It's one thing to deal with tabloid rumors and social media speculation. It's another thing entirely to face the possibility of documented proof of activities she's tried to keep hidden. The psychological pressure alone must be overwhelming. Every day brings the possibility that new evidence could surface. Every phone call from her lawyers might bring news of another document or recording. She's essentially living under the threat of exposure, never knowing when the next shoe might drop. This uncertainty explains her unusual silence. Her typical strategy of controlling the narrative through friendly media outlets doesn't work when you don't know what accusations are coming next. How do you get ahead of a story when you don't know how much evidence exists against you? The impact on her marriage to Harry adds another layer of complexity to this situation. Harry famously left his entire family, abandoned centuries of royal tradition, and burned bridges he'll never be able to rebuild, all to protect Meghan from what he called the unfair treatment by the British media. He positioned himself as her knight in shining armor, the man who would shield her from a cruel world. But now he's facing the possibility that everything he sacrificed for might have been based on incomplete information about who Meghan really was before they met. If these allegations gain traction, if evidence emerges that confirms Meghan's involvement in Epstein's world, then Harry's entire justification for leaving the royal family collapses. Imagine discovering that the woman you gave up everything for had been hiding something this significant. Imagine realizing that your family's concerns about her background might have been more justified than you wanted to admit. The psychological impact on Harry could be devastating. Friends of the prince report that he's been increasingly isolated, pacing around their Montecito mansion, struggling to process what these allegations might mean for their future. He went from being a beloved member of the royal family to being a celebrity exile, and now he's facing the possibility that it was all for someone who wasn't completely honest with him. The royal family's response has been telling in its absence. They've maintained complete silence about Meghan for months now, which is unusual given how they typically respond to major stories about former family members. This suggests they're either completely done with her drama, or they know something that makes them want to stay as far away as possible. Some royal insiders are reportedly saying that they always suspected Meghan's background wasn't as clean as she presented it. One palace aide allegedly told a journalist, "We always knew the truth would find her eventually. It always does." That's not just gossip. That's the sound of people who feel vindicated in their earlier suspicions. The international media coverage has been relentless. This isn't just a British tabloid story anymore. It's global news. From London to New York, from Sydney to Toronto, Meghan's face is being juxtaposed with Ghislaine Maxwell's mugshot. The visual alone is damaging. It creates an association in people's minds that's almost impossible to undo. Social media has exploded with hashtags like #MeghanExposed and #MaxwellFiles trending for days. Her supporters are trying desperately to counter the narrative with posts about her charity work and motherhood, but they're being drowned out by the sheer volume of speculation and accusations. The most damaging aspect of this entire situation might be how it fits into existing suspicions about Meghan's authenticity. She's already faced criticism for being calculating, for using people to advance her career, for not being completely honest about her motivations. These new allegations don't exist in a vacuum. They confirm what many people already suspected about her character. When Maxwell's claims first surfaced, they didn't sound unbelievable to many observers. They sounded like confirmation of a pattern that people had already noticed. That's what makes this so dangerous for Meghan. It's not just about one scandal. It's about validation of broader concerns about who she really is. The entertainment industry's response has been swift and brutal. Producers who once courted Meghan are now avoiding her calls. Studios that were interested in her projects are quietly backing away. The word radioactive keeps coming up in industry conversations about her future prospects. One producer who had been considering Meghan for a documentary project reportedly told colleagues, "She's untouchable now. We can't risk having our project associated with this scandal." That's the kind of cold calculation that drives Hollywood. They'll work with almost anyone if it makes money, but they run from anyone who might hurt their bottom line. Even her existing partnerships are under strain. Brands that were paying for her endorsement are reconsidering their contracts. Publishers who were interested in her next book are having second thoughts. The scandal isn't just affecting her current projects, it's poisoning her future opportunities. The financial implications are staggering. Meghan and Harry's entire post-royal business model was built on her celebrity and supposed moral authority. If that foundation crumbles, their million-dollar deals, their speaking engagements, their media partnerships, everything becomes worthless. They've been living an expensive lifestyle based on the assumption that Meghan's star power would continue generating income for years to come. Now they're facing the possibility that her name might become such a liability that no legitimate organization will want to work with her. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of this entire situation is what it says about the power of information in our digital age. Maxwell didn't need to prove anything to damage Meghan's reputation. She just needed to hint that evidence existed. The mere suggestion that there might be documents, recordings, or photographs was enough to send shockwaves through Meghan's world. This is the new reality of scandal in the social media era. You don't need a smoking gun. You just need the credible possibility that a smoking gun exists. The speculation becomes the story, and the speculation can be just as damaging as any actual evidence. Meghan is discovering that all her careful image management, all her strategic media manipulation, all her attempts to control her narrative mean nothing when someone like Maxwell decides to speak. She built her entire post-royal brand on the idea that she could shape public perception through carefully orchestrated interviews and social media campaigns. But Maxwell's allegations have shattered that illusion of control. Meghan can't spin her way out of this one because she doesn't know what other evidence might exist. She can't get ahead of the story because she doesn't know how much more of the story there is to tell. For the first time since she married into the royal family, Meghan Markle looks genuinely powerless. Her usual weapons, friendly journalists, sympathetic interviews, strategic leaks, are useless against this kind of systematic, evidence-based attack on her reputation. The woman who once believed she could manipulate any narrative, who thought her celebrity status made her untouchable, is now finding out what it's like to be completely at someone else's mercy. And that someone happens to be one of the most notorious criminals of our time, sitting in a prison cell with nothing to lose and apparently plenty to share. Whether Maxwell's claims are ultimately proven or disproven, the damage to Meghan's reputation may already be irreversible. In the court of public opinion, the mere association with this scandal could be enough to end her career as a public figure. And perhaps that's the most fitting outcome of all. Meghan spent years carefully crafting an image that was apparently built on fundamental deceptions about her past. Now that past is catching up with her in the most public, most humiliating way possible. The circus that is Meghan Markle's public life has taken its darkest turn yet, and this time, she might not be able to find her way back into the spotlight, at least not in the way she always dreamed of.